How we doing, folks? 138 MMA here, and we are going to break down UFC on ABC 5, also known as UFC Jacksonville. But before you skip ahead in this video, real quick, I've got some important information for you. Something new to the channel memberships. Now, I know what you're thinking, just trying to get all my money. Yeah, kinda, but not entirely. Channel memberships. At this current point, there's only one tier. It's just $2.99 a month. The only thing that's going to get you access to is A, you're going to be able to support the channel. You get these neato little badges next to your name. So, like, when you, comment on stuff or whatever, you get these neato little badges that show how long you've been supporting the channel. So you get, seniority and stuff. So you're going to be like, yeah, I'm loyal. Look at this. I got this, the 4th badge or whatever. It's like you're, like a Pokemon master or something. You're out there collecting badges. But either way, so you're going to get these neato little badges. You're also going to get some neato emojis. When you're down in the comments, you can be able to use those. My logo is one of them. I've got a couple of styles of root beer in there, and I've got the marker board up in there. So I can only have 4 right now because I don't have enough people using the channel memberships yet. But there's that. And the last thing, there's also the fact that if I put out a membership only post, so you're going to see a few things like that from time to time. Now, eventually, I'm going to add to this where there'll be another tier up for all sorts of neato stuff. I've said neato way too many times already, but when I do that, you can just simply upgrade. For now, jump on the $2.99. Help me out. It's $2.99 a month. That's throwaway money right there, but it helps me a lot because if I get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of you doing that, it really helps me out. Helps me get a better microphone for these because I just shout all the way through these right now because I don't have a very good microphone. So that would really help a lot. Things like that. So anyway, you don't feel like you have to. I don't want to pressure you in, but I would sure appreciate it. So that's the channel memberships. Another thing, you find me on Twitter, 138MMA, Tapology, same gosh darn place. Also patreon.com/138MMA. That's even better than the channel memberships for the fact that you get all of my notes. You get access to my Patreon parlay. You get access to my picks with confidence ratings, as well as some other stuff. The only thing is that costs a bit more. $2.99 for the channel memberships. There's $3.01, $5.99, or $9.99 over on the Patreon for different levels of goody stuff over there. Wow, that was terrible. Either way, whatever, I've rambled enough. Let's go and break down these fights. We've got a slew of them and a lot of really fun ones, as well as some that I have no clue who's going to win. But I'm going to give you my best guess. I'll talk to you guys in a second, right after this.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, 138 proudly brings to you the hottest race in the world.
Currently slated to kick off the card in the flyweight division. We have Rodrigues taking on Taira. Taira is 5-0 in his last 5 as he's undefeated on the career. Rodrigues is 4-1 in his last 5. Now, Taira has a 1-inch height advantage at 5'7" over the 5'6" of Rodrigues, but 3 inches in the reach, 70 inches as opposed to 67. Interesting matchup here because both guys are good in the other one's strength, but there's a very distinct difference in skill. So let me start with, we'll start with Taira here. Taira, for example, he's got great grappling. He's going to look to advance the position, often taking the back. He has a nice body lock takedown to get the fight to the mat. He has other takedowns in his arsenal, but the body lock is where he gets most success. He has a very large toolbox once it gets to the mat, and he's quick to seek the sub. Looks for that pretty much from the time he gets to the mat until, he takes the back and gets the sub. Whether it's, from the back take or wherever else, but the back take is what he's going for. That's his ultimate position. Now, he's a good striker. He's got a good calf kick. He, can land that at range. He's kind of just looking for things before he can get the takedown, but the calf kick's good. The thing I like the most in his striking is his flying knee off the takedown feint. We saw it quite a few times in his regional career where he keeps looking like he's going for the going for the takedown, and he fakes it into a flying knee. It's a pretty good setup too because the takedown, people are going to bite on the takedown from a guy like Taira because Taira, his grappling is so lights out in pretty much every one of his fights. He's looked phenomenal on the ground. When he gets that fake takedown, you're going to react even just a little bit, especially when you're going up against a guy like Rodrigues who doesn't have the best takedown defense, and we'll get to that in a minute. When it comes to the striking defense, though, Taira is hittable. That's a problem in this matchup, but he has good cardio, so he can make it all 3 rounds in this one, no problem. Now, for the Rodrigues side, he's a very good striker. He's got strikes to all levels. He mixes his punches and kicks. The knees up the middle, I do really like. We're going to start drawing lines here. We're going to say blue is Rodrigues, okay? So I like the knees up the middle because when you got a guy in Taira that wants to get this to the ground, we're going to go here and we're going to go there because off the fake takedown, you can still blast him with a knee. I do like the knees up the middle for a guy like Rodrigues. Now, what I don't like for Rodrigues, and we're going to go with the red. So we're going to go with the red here. We're going to go body lock takedowns. What I don't like for Rodrigues is his takedown defense is not the best. So for me, it's going to come down to, does Rodrigues crack Taira or does he get taken down? Because when he's in the striking, he's got a very dynamic attack with all sorts of wild stuff. Spinning kicks, you know, whatever, mixes his combinations up, things like that. But on the ground, although he's good, he's got good transitions, works the ground and pound, he often gives up his back when he's trying to get up. Now, if you remember, I mentioned that Taira is a back taker. That's a problem. So, essentially what I see here is either Rodrigues has to really hurt Taira with you know, one of those wild spinning attacks or just working combinations, a knee up the middle, for example, something like that, and either win by a knockout or just hurt him bad enough that he's able to take over from there on out, or Taira can get the submission or he can work for a decision. I think Taira has more options here, so I do like Taira in the matchup. However, this is a close matchup. I think that a lot of people immediately thought Taira was going to be good, or was going to be like the easy money pick. But as they started looking into it, started to think, oh man, I don't know, Rodrigues has a shot, and that's why we've seen the line movement that we have seen. But I'm still taking Taira. I still think he has the better path to victory here, or the more paths to victory here. So I'm going to stick with him. But there is a world where Clinton Rodrigues lands a big shot and Taira's in trouble there. So that's where I'm leaning. Let me know what you guys think. I think if Clinton Rodrigues plays his cards right, he has a very real shot in this one. So if you're picking him, I'm not going to fault you. We got a packed card coming up, so let me know what you think. Like the video if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next middleweight matchup here between Cody Brundage and SD Dumas. SD Dumas is coming off his first fight in the UFC, which was a loss. He's now 4-1 in the last 5, or 7-1 in the career. Now for Brundage, he's 2-3 in his last 5, stepping in on short notice here. 2-3 in the last 5 is not something you like to see. That's usually a bad sign. But he's been in the UFC for a while. He has that UFC experience, so how is that going to play out against a guy like SD Dumas? Now, for Dumas, he has powerful striking. Very powerful striking. He has a very good head kick, but pretty much any of his shots have fight-ending power when he does it right. Now, his wrestling, pretty darn good as well. He's a bit of a slammer, so he likes to pick guys up and just, you know, throw them at the mat as hard as he can. He likes big, flashy, powerful things. Let's put it that way. Whether it's his strikes or his wrestling, he likes to do that. Takedown defense isn't great, but he does have a quick guillotine that he can get on you, whether he's using that off of a takedown attempt. And I think that could be why his takedown defense is bad, is because he looks for the submission instead. Or, as we've seen in the past, a standing guillotine as well. Now for Brundage, he's a powerful striker as well, but he kind of just eats one to fire back. He's a fairly durable guy most of the time. Like, he can eat some shots, and, you know, he definitely will, and he'll just eat one and then just swing back at you. But if he cracks you, you're going to feel it. He's slumped plenty of people in his day. Now, he's a good wrestler as well. He can mix in those takedowns, get that going. He also has a pretty good guillotine. We saw that recently, but I think the guillotine advantage is on the Dumas side, but that doesn't mean that Brundage couldn't lock up a guillotine on Dumas. I'm just saying that dude's guillotine's pretty quick. So for Brundage here, though, the issue is the short notice. I don't like that so much. But a guy like Brundage, I think a short notice fight isn't too big of a deal for him. I think he's a guy that kind of just is ready to jump in at any time, and I don't think that's too bad of a deal. I don't want to pick either of these guys because typically I pick against both of them. Well, not typically. Typically I pick against Brundage. After the last fight, I'm going to be picking against Dumas fairly often. The problem is either of these guys has fight-ending power in their shots. I like the under. I think it's set at 1.5. This probably ends in the first round. If you are feeling more on the safe side, the fight doesn't go to decision, is probably pretty easy to play. I'm gonna just by the slightest bit, by like the littlest fraction of a choice, take Brundage, because there is part of me that thinks that performance we saw from Dumas in his last fight was something of UFC jitters. His cardio looked horrible. It could simply be his first fight in the UFC kind of got the better of him. I'm going to take Brundage, though. I think the UFC experience is going to play well for him, but I would not be surprised if Dumas just knocks him out. So if in that case, the pick is technically Brundage, but play the under. I think that's the better bet, or inside the distance, whatever, or fight doesn't go to decision. Play something like that. Let me know what you guys think. I'd love to hear it. I'll see you on the next featherweight. We have Jack Jenkins taking on Jamal Emmers, and I'm going to say right away that this is a very close fight and a very difficult fight to predict. In fact, it's one of the few fights on my note sheet here that I have that you kind of are seeing part of here that I have not actually officially made a pick. So we're going to see who I talk myself into on this one. I can tell you the confidence is going to be low because I've been back and forth all day. I've switched my pick, I don't know, probably 6 times since I've gotten off work today. Now, so Jack Jenkins, we're going to start here. He's 5-0 in his last 5. He's kind of an up-and-coming prospect. Looks pretty good so far. For Jamal Emmers, he's 3-2 in his last 5. He's a veteran that's been around the UFC for a while. So, still getting the win, still doing the darn thing. He's doing it well. He is going to be the bigger fighter here. Jamal Emmers is 5'10 with a 74-inch reach as opposed to the 5'7", 68-inch reach of Jenkins. Both guys are pretty much good all over. For the striking, for Jamal Emmers, he's a good striker with a lot of volume outside of the first round. Both guys kind of start just a little slow. They need to get established. But the volume is pretty good for Emmers. He does have probably more power, I'd say, outside of a leg kick anyway. As far as his in his striking, I would say that Jamal Emmers is probably the more powerful striker aside from the leg kick. We'll get to that in a minute. And he does work the body pretty well. Now, let's look at the striking of Jenkins. We're going to go back and forth on this one. Jenkins, like I said, the leg kick, probably more powerful by Jenkins because he's got a very heavy leg kick. We've seen it in his fights. He's talked about how he's broken a bunch of legs or whatever with leg kicks. There was one for sure, but there's been others that he's claimed. He does have a nice jab, and he will work the body. Going into his last fight with Don Shainis, I had it listed that he throws a lot of single shots because he kind of had, but the occasional combination. But don't get me wrong, he had a lot of single shots leading in. But then in that last matchup with Don Shainis, he really opened up with the combinations and impressed me. So I think his striking is actually developing just a little bit more, and I do like that out of Jack Jenkins. Now, both guys, good wrestlers. For Emmers, he uses it primarily defensively. He's good with scrambles, good with the takedown defense, but if he does get on top, he's got good control. As far as Jenkins, he'll mix in his own takedowns often. I don't know that he's going to have much success here in doing that, but he does have good takedown defense as well. In the clinch, I would say Jenkins might have an edge here because he does have some pretty nasty knees once he does get a hold of you in that tie clinch. The cardio edge, I'm going to say maybe Emmers because he can keep a high pace for pretty much a whole fight. So I'm going to say Emmers might have the cardio edge. So it's a very, very razor-thin fight. Now, I do have a bet on this because Jenkins is the underdog, and I basically did the, plus 3.5 or minus 3, or whatever it is, where you bet on Jack Jenkins can win at least one round. Because I do think it probably goes to decision, but I don't know which way it's going to go. And if it doesn't go to decision, I do think it's because Jack Jenkins landed some heavy leg kicks and broke Emmers' legs. So in that case, my bet would still cash. So essentially, Jack Jenkins has to win one round. So for the sake of me not having to root against myself, I'm going to take Jack Jenkins, but zero confidence. I really don't know that he wins, but I do think he can get one round. So that's been the bet that I placed. Let me know what you guys think. I just gave you one of my bets for free. Hope you're happy about it. Let me know what you guys got in the comments, and I will see you in the next lightweight. We have a short notice matchup here. We have Trevor Peek, who is 5-0 in his last 5 fights, taking on Jose Mariscal, who is 3-2 in his last 5. Both guys are powerful strikers with not a ton of defense. So let's start with the Mariscal side. He's a very powerful striker who has pretty good flurries. Basically, he'll come in and throw his combination, his flurry of punches, and after that, he comes back out and does his thing, right? Open to being countered, though, because he keeps his hands very low and, kind of doesn't really get his head out of the center line as much as he probably should when he comes in for those flurries. Now, I don't know that that's going to be an issue for him here. We're going to see, but I don't know that it will. I think it's going to just be a car crash. But either way, good wrestling as well. He'll mix in his takedowns. His takedown defense isn't the best, but his offensive wrestling is pretty good. Problem is it's a short notice fight, and he's usually at featherweight. Now this is at 155, and he's going up against Trevor Peek. Now Trevor Peek, he's a powerful striker as well. Every single one of his wins are by knockout, so there's that. The dude's got good volume, but he wings wild punches. He'll throw naked leg kicks from way out there, and his striking defense is horrible as well. So a lot of negatives, but this is a big positive because that volume, it just keeps coming because he has a very high pace. Trevor Peek's pace is go, 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 okay? And he is very durable. So basically, the striking defense sucks. He's winging wild punches, and he's just going to throw naked leg kicks out there, so he's open to being countered from that as well. But he's got a ton of volume, and he can take a punch better than probably as well as Marvin Vettori after last week. I would say Trevor Peek could probably take a punch like that as well. Because we're gonna get into that. Hold on, let me finish this out. He does have decent wrestling as well. He can mix in his own takedowns. He doesn't have the best takedown defense, but he'll pop right back to his feet just because he's so gosh darn active. Here's the thing, though. He's an absolute dog, and I saw on his Contender Series fight against a guy, Malik Lewis, Trevor Peek got beaten within an inch of his life by this dude. Comes back out in the next round and just bludgeons Lewis. Dude looked like that would have killed most human beings. But Trevor Peek just, no big deal. Comes back out, gets the dang win. Dana White was coming out to give him coming out to say he's in the UFC, all that stuff, but he's like, he's in the hospital though because he's got like a broken jaw or something like that. Like, dude got just beat to tar and then just goes out there and just finishes that dude in the next round like it was no big deal that he's got beat to tar. So, Trevor Peek is probably the most durable human being on the planet. I don't know if you guys heard that fight homework outside. Apparently it's close to time. Either way, Trevor Peek is one of the most durable guys on the planet though. And because of that, it's going to be hard for a guy like Mariscal to get him out of there. One other thing that really, really interests me in this is Trevor Peek has experience up to competing at 180 pounds. It's going to be really annoying, guys. I don't know if you heard that. But up to 180 pounds. This is Mariscal, who's normally a featherweight. Experience up to 180 pounds. I think the size difference in just like thickness is going to help out for Peek. I think it's going to help with the durability. I think Peek should get this one done on short notice. Now, short notice for Mariscal. I'm not the most confident in it, but I feel pretty good about it. Now that the odds have flipped and you can get Peek at like plus 100, I'm tempted to throw a bet on it. I haven't yet, but I'm tempted to throw a bet on it. But what I do like is the under 1.5, or fight doesn't go to decision is probably a free. Like, there's no way this is going to decision. Unless Mariscal's controlling the whole fight, because then I could see it going to decision because Peek just isn't going to go out. But I do think we're going to see a knockout, probably by Peek. Good, maybe just bet Peek by knockout. I just talked myself into it. Peek by knockout is the decision, or is the pick, is my pick. Let me know what you guys have. I fumbled through this breakdown. Bear with me. I was just excited about a Trevor Peek fight. The dude's insane. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say, and I'll see you in the next I'm getting pretty tired of breaking down Zhumagulov fights for him just to not end up fighting. And it's not been his fault. It's been his opponent's. So hopefully Joshua Van decides to actually make it to the cage this time so we can actually get this fight. And then I won't have to break down Zhumagulov again next week when they've got him another new opponent. So we're going to try this one more time. We got Zhumagulov, 1-4 in his last 5. We've got Joshua Van stepping in on short notice, 5-0 in his last 5. So Zhaugas's opponent fell out last week. Van couldn't step in last week, but he decided, hey, you know what? I could do it the week after, and Zhaugas said, sure, that works great. So here we are yet again. For Zhumagulov, we're going to breeze right through it because you've heard it a million times already. He's got decent striking. He's got decent volume. The leg kick is there. His striking defense isn't the best, but, he's pretty durable, so that's cool. He's got good wrestling, decent takedowns, but he has volume of takedowns, and he'll use the failed takedowns to push people up against the cage, where he works his cage push and racks up control time, and he's got good takedown defense of his own. Now, for Joshua Van, the newcomer, here he is. So he's got pretty good striking. He establishes his jab, and that's something I do really like, especially against a guy like Zhumagulov, because, Zhumagulov's hittable, first off, but if he's able to establish that jab and use that to work at range without getting a little overzealous, that might be a good option for him to win a decision, because we all know how Zhaugas does in decisions. Now, the leg kick is there for Van as well. He does sometimes just kind of have a lapse in volume, where he's just kind of is in between doing stuff. Like if you just didn't touch your controller for a while and, Mortal Kombat characters, they're just doing that, thing that they do. Sometimes he'll just have that. It's not often, it's not constant. It's not like he's just a low volume at all times, but sometimes he just doesn't do a lot. I don't think that's going to be a problem here. I think the pace of Zhaugas is going to make this a gritty fight for as long as it lasts. Joshua Van is a finisher, by the way. I think all 7 of his wins are by finish. I don't believe he's been to decision. He does have decent jiu-jitsu as well. He's active from his back, but he's very much submission over position. So if he ends up on bottom, he's looking for submissions. If he does get on top, he's looking for submissions, even at the detriment of the position. That's what that means. So it's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just what it is. Now, for me in this matchup, honestly, I'm going to take Joshua Van, and I know nobody else is, but I'm not taking him because I think he's a better fighter than Zhaugas. I just think that there's just been too much going on for Zhaugas. He's cut weight how many friggin' times now? He's on a slump. He's got that in the back of his head. There's just been too much going on for Zhaugas. And I think Joshua Van's going to get it one way or another. I don't have any confidence in this pick whatsoever. Not a bit whatsoever. But I'm taking Joshua Van for the simple fact that I just think there's just too much going on for Zhao. Let me know what you guys have in the comments. If you're betting either side, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear what you guys have, what your takes are in the comments. And I will see you in the strawweight division. We have Tabatha Ricci taking on Jillian Robertson. This is a matchup I'm actually really looking forward to, and it's hard for me to come to a full conclusion. In fact, I've actually had my notes for this up on Patreon for quite a while now. Sometime last week I got these notes up there because I spent a lot of time breaking this matchup down. This one, both of them are obviously elite grapplers. Okay, let's go ahead and let's break it down before we start getting into details. Okay, 3-2 for Robertson in her last 5, 4-1 for Ricci. However, that 3-2 is a little bit misleading because she just recently, in her last, I believe it was 2 fights, moved down to strawweight and has won both of those. Before that, she was up at flyweight where she wasn't exactly the biggest. Now she's quite a bit bigger at the strawweight division because, well, everybody else is a little bit smaller. So there's that. Both of these ladies good in the same, they're both very, very good in the same realm, but for different reasons. That's how I wanted to put that. Let's start with the Ricci side, okay? She's right here. We'll start here. She's a fast starter, so it's a good thing to start with her. She has solid judo, and her takedowns against the cage are very solid, but the top pressure once she gets on top of you is very good as well. Here's the thing, though. Her strikes, she'll strike in flurries to get you up against that cage, and once she does, that's when she starts working that judo. Those throws, those trips, those takedowns from there, that's where she's working that. Once she gets to the ground, she's got a very large toolbox. Solid jiu-jitsu, decent ground and pound. She basically is going to look for the position before the submission, so she's going to look to find her spot, get where she needs to get, work a little bit of ground and pound in there when she needs to, but typically for Ricci, she's going to be trying to get that position solidified, okay? Now, there are times on the regional scene where you saw her ground and pound looked absolutely ferocious, but it wasn't the most damaging. It's just a lot of volume. Typically, in the UFC, what she's going to want to do is find that position. That's what I'm talking about. Now, for Jillian Robertson, on the other hand, her striking, it's decent, I guess. It's better at strawweight than flyweight, of course. Her takedowns, also way better at strawweight than flyweight because she's stronger, maybe stronger than her competition, but also, not weaker than her competition, if that makes sense. So, in the jiu-jitsu, though, Robertson's also got solid jiu-jitsu. She's always looking for the submission. She's got good transitions as well. She can cut through, go up to the next spot, whatever. She's got a good guard pass. I do like that. Crazy thing. You wouldn't believe how many people can make it to the UFC and not have a single guard pass option other than throw punches until they open their legs and then you jump through it. That's a horrible guard pass. You wouldn't believe it. But either way, a lot of people have that. Robertson's got some legitimate guard passes. I do like that in the game. So that's something to think about. So does Ricci, but you know what I mean. My point is, I like the guard pass of Robertson. Top pressure, it's there. The ground and pound is much heavier for Robertson than it is for Ricci. When she lands, she's looking for damaging elbows, damaging hammer fists, things like that. She's not looking to land little shots. She's looking for big elbow shots, looking to land those big heavy fists. She's looking for damage, not necessarily just to get you to move your arms. She is more of a specialist than I would say Tabatha Ricci. Tabatha Ricci's got a large toolbox, like I mentioned. And Jillian Robertson, she's an armbar specialist and she's a rear naked choke specialist. Those are her go-tos. She's looking for those pretty much all the time. Can she do other things? Yes, absolutely. But those are what she looks for. So, big toolbox, specialist. That's the difference there, okay? You know what? We'll whip out the old marker and point that out. Large toolbox, specialist. There's the difference. Now, real quick, so I think Jillian Robertson is probably the more durable of the two because we've seen her take a beating and still hang in there. And I do think she probably has the better cardio of the two, and that's not to say that Tabatha Ricci has bad cardio. We've seen Jillian Robertson be able to grapple at a high pace and continue to do so throughout the whole 15 minutes of the fight. It's close, though, in the cardio. I'd say Tabatha Ricci can keep up. This is a tough fight for me, and I've gone back and forth a lot as well. I think the fundamentals of Tabatha Ricci are there as far as her judo, her jiu-jitsu. I think she's better in the fundamentals. But in an MMA fight, the damaging grappling of Jillian Robertson, I do like that. So I'm going to lean Jillian Robertson. I could be swayed the other way. I know she's the underdog right now, but I think the fact that she mixes in those elbows, uses that to open up the submissions, I think that's going to score better for the judges, but I also think it's going to be more likely that she lands a submission here. So for me, I'm going to take Jillian Robertson. I don't think I'm going to get around to betting it. Way too close of a fight. This is going to be the fight where one of them, there's quite a few, Well, I'm going to kick my feet up on the coffee table. I'm going to crack open a nice cold root beer, and I'm going to just toss that back and enjoy myself. Now, real quick, you guys, if you didn't catch it at the beginning, channel memberships are a thing, and you can also use my root beer emoji once you get that channel membership going. It's only $2.99. Cool. You got the root beer emoji. I've got it in a can or a bottle, whatever your choice is. You can put that down in the comments once you become a channel member, so keep that in mind. Anyway, let me know what you guys have in this fight. I will see you in the next matchup at lightweight here between Mateusz Rebecki and Radzhabov. Now, in this one here, you won't see a ton of notes on the board, and it's because I kind of scrapped a lot of my notes after both of their debuts. I had a little bit more about both of these guys. I had some more things written down, and then I threw a lot of it out. And why is that? Because they're for UFC debut, a lot of the fights before that were against kind of lower level competition. You know, that's what happens. In the debut, they both kind of did things that kind of contradicted what I believed. So I'm starting fresh now that they're in the UFC. I put down some different notes, some things like that, kind of stripped it down to the basics. So if the board's not full, that's why. I'll still go over this and I'll still give you my best pick. So 5-0 for Rebecki in his last 5, 4-1 for Radzhabov. Rebecki is the shorter fighter at 5'7" with a 66-inch reach. We got Radzhabov with a 5'11", 68-inch reach. Now, Radzhabov is a very fast starter that's going to fade as the fight goes on, at least from my estimations. He's going to have a very powerful striking game, just kind of slinging bombs at you. But the wrestling's where he gets it done. He's got good takedown defense, but he's got good takedown volume, and that's the thing. He doesn't hold guys down. They get back up pretty easily, but he's got a lot of volume. So the dude's just constantly trying to take you down, and when he does, that's how he racks it up, and it's pretty hard to win a fight when you're constantly defending takedowns, as we've seen in a few of those fights where you're like, man, how is this guy... He's not doing any damage. He's just taking this guy down over and over. And you see it happen. Rob Dvalishvili, he's known for that. That's a good example. There we go. But Radzhabov, similar idea. He's going to try and get the takedowns in and sling powerful shots to get in. For Rebecki, he's an aggressive fighter with a high pace. He's also a powerful striker. Kind of swings some wild overhands, hooks, things like that. He's got good wrestling with good takedown defense as well. And he's going to mix in his own takedowns. Basically, both these guys are very similar fighters. For me, I think the pick has to be Radzhabov because I do think the size advantage helps. I think he's going to be able to rack up enough in the first first round and a half, that he's going to be able to wear on Rebecki, and I think it's going to be a close fight in the latter part of the fights. But I think the first round is going to go to Radzhabov. Now, here's how I'm going to play it. I don't think they are out yet, but you can get the one where it's like, yo, so-and-so wins one round. I'm going to bet on Radzhabov to win one round. Why is that? Because I think he's going to win the first round, and I have no idea from there on out. So for me, the pick is Radzhabov, but not confident whatsoever. Both of their first fights, like I said, in the UFC, kind of have me you know what I mean? So I'm going to take Radzhabov. Let me know what you guys have. I know a lot of people are on Rebecki. I don't blame you. The dude's pretty darn good too, or at least we think. I don't know. This one, I don't know. I don't know on this one, guys. Bear with me. I'll see you in the next fight. We have Randy Brown taking on Wellington Turman in the welterweight division, which is the new home for Turman, it seems. Real quick, if you've made it this far in the video, a free way that you can support the channel is by clicking like on this video. I do appreciate it very much. It helps the channel grow. It helps more of you lovely people find this video. So if you can do that for me, that'd be awesome. All right, let's go ahead and break this fight down. Now, for Randy Brown, he's 4-1 in his last 5, just coming off that loss to Jack Della Maddalena, which, tough, big step up for him. For Wellington Turman, he's 2-3 in his last 5. Hasn't looked the best, really. That's probably why he's moving down to 170. So basically, we have Wellington Turman. Didn't have a ton of success up at middleweight. Maybe I can do better at 170. Well, they give him a guy that is Randy Brown, who is a huge welterweight. 6'3", 78-inch reach against the 6', 72-inch reach of Turman. Not the best matchup for a guy that's now moving down because he needed to say, you know what, I need to get a bigger size advantage on these guys. Let me move down to welterweight. Well, Randy Brown's a giant down here. He's a thinner guy, but he's just a huge guy. He's tall. For Turman, he does have a few positives. It's the jiu-jitsu. He's got good sweeps, good top pressure, things like that. Striking is it's serviceable, I guess. I put decent. I'm being a little generous. His striking's not very good, but it's all right. It's not bad. I feel like I'm just crapping all over Wellington Turman, and I don't mean to. I've just been pretty low on Wellington Turman because he doesn't win a whole lot of fights. For Randy Brown, he's a pretty good fighter. He's got good striking. He uses his range really well. I do hate the terror squad defense, that lean back you get, you know what I mean? I do hate that, but whatever, it's what tall guys do. He does have good kicks, especially that front kick up the middle. I do like that. Works it to the body, snaps it up to the chin, just being tall. Something I didn't put on there is the knees. He'll also work those up the middle after he hits those front kicks for a while. His opponent says, you know what, I'm just going to blow through it so he can't hit me with that front kick. Well, then he changes it to a knee. Problem solved. There you go. He does work good combinations. On the ground, he's got pretty good jiu-jitsu as well. He uses his length very well. And he does have those notorious choking arms. They're nice and small. He can slip right under your chin and cinch something up. I don't think he's choking out Turman. That's probably not going to happen. But I do think on the feet, he's going to be the way better striker. I'm going to say decision, but we're going to take Randy Brown here. Pretty cut and dry. I feel like Randy Brown gets this one done. Let me know what you guys think. I will see you. Here we got a welterweight matchup. We've got Neil Magny taking on Philip Rowe. Philip Rowe's 4-1 in the last 5, 3-2 for Magny. Let's start with the Magny side. Magny's a good striker with long straights. But when he gets in close, he likes to mix in those elbows, hits you pretty snug with them things, catch you up a little bit. Good wrestling as well. He'll mix in his takedowns. But the thing that he can win a lot of minutes with is his cage push. He gets guys up against the cage, kind of just holds them there, lands some good shots, mixes in those elbows that I was talking about, all that kind of stuff from the cage push where he's just racking up control there. And he's got good top pressure if he gets on top of you once you're on the mat. Now, the X factor for Neil Magny is his cardio. The dude's got fantastic cardio. He just goes, never getting too tired. He's going to keep on going for 5 rounds, let alone 3, which this fight is. Now, for Philip Rowe, dude's got good striking. He's got good volume, and I think he's probably the more powerful of the two, just 1-for-1. But I do think more of the veteran savvy of Neil Magny, but the power is on the Rowe side. So there is that. Good jiu-jitsu, kind of active from his back, but doesn't really try to get back up is the problem. So for me, I think this is a clear-cut pick. I think Neil Magny should win this fight, short of getting caught and knocked out. Okay, I'm going to throw it out there. It's not a good bet, but 3rd round submission Neil Magny is going to be my pick. I'm not saying bet it. I'm saying that's what I think is going to happen. I think he's going to be able to, the feet, they start working it, whatever. He's going to get a lot of cage push. As Rowe's starting to get tired, maybe that 2nd round towards the end of that, he starts taking him down, starts working him over on top. 3rd round rolls around. Phil Rowe is like, man, this guy's just wet blanketing me at this point. What am I going to do? He comes out trying to throw big, heavy shots. Magny says, nah, gets the takedown, gets on top, starts working him over, and eventually gets like an arm triangle or something like that. That's my pick. Neil Magny, 3rd round submission, maybe rear naked choke. I don't know what the submission's going to be, but 3rd round submission, probably some variance of a choke. Let me know what you guys have, and I will see you in the next fight. Division, we have Brendan Allen taking on Bruno Silva. Silva's 3-2 in his last 5, 4-1 for Brendan Allen. This is a really tough fight to pick. I'm going to go ahead and break it down for you, but it's a tough one to pick. We're going to start with the Silva side. The dude is a strong striker. The guy hits like a freight train. He's going to work in combinations, and he's going to put knees in the middle of those combinations, which are deadly for fighting against wrestlers, which Brendan Allen is probably going to need to do in this matchup. Now, when I say Bruno Silva has power, 20 of his 23 wins are by knockout, and my goodness, man, if this guy hits you, he's putting you down. That's what he does. 20 out of 23 wins by knockout. That's very impressive. If he gets you to the ground, guess what? When he's on top, he has absolutely brutal ground and pound. This dude is a monster when he hits you, and that's his best path to victory in every single fight. On the other hand, Brendan Allen, he's a good striker, don't get me wrong. I do think the striking is more dangerous on the Silva side, but he's a good striker. Good combinations, works the body kick. He does not do as well when he's backing up, though. If you're forcing him to back up, he's not as good in the striking, and that could be a problem because Bruno Silva is a guy that's probably going to be able to force Brendan Allen to back up unless Brendan Allen can threaten with the wrestling because he does have solid takedowns. He's able to seek that submission once he gets to the mat, and we saw him put out Andre Muniz in his last fight, and that was very impressive. That right there shows the level at which his grappling is progressing. So Brendan Allen is going to be the better grappler here, and he's probably got the better cardio because he does have very good cardio. For me, this is the definition of a fight where you just want to crack open a nice ice-cold root beer, kick your feet up on the coffee table, toss that root beer back, and have a good time because this one is not a fight for betting on. Now, if you've got a strong take, maybe you can sway me. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear it. For me, the pick will be Brendan Allen. I'm not going to bet on this one at all. I don't think I should. I don't think it's a good spot to bet. I think this is just a pass fight entirely for me. The Bruno Silva by knockout could be enticing if the odds were better, but they're not where I want them. So I'm taking Brendan Allen as the pick. The value's probably on Silva by knockout for the simple fact that, like, if he wins, that's how he's going to do it. But yeah, I can't do it. So I'm taking Brendan Allen, but low confidence pick. This is a tough fight. Both these guys are very fun fighters. Bruno Silva, looked great in his last matchup, but let me know what you guys think. I'd love to hear from you. I'll see you. This one should be fireworks, folks. It's a featherweight matchup between Gabriel Santos and David Onama. Onama's 3-2 in his last 5. Santos is apparently 4-1 in his last 5 because judges can't do their job right. Santos won that fight against Lerone Murphy, and I'm going to fight people to the end on this one. But, you know, we'll calm it back down. I didn't even bet Santos, but before the fight, I was on a live stream or whatever. I'm hanging out with some buddies of mine, right? One of the dudes on the stream was like, yo, who do you got in this one? And I was like, oh yeah, Santos is going to win by decision. I never got around to betting it, but I feel pretty good about him winning by decision. As soon as the fight ends, we get to the scorecard, they're getting ready to read him off, and everybody's like, dude, you called that perfect. Stepped in on short notice to win by decision over Lerone Murphy. And then the judges decided to rob my guy blind. Santos won that fight. I don't care what anybody says, but we're calming it down. We're going to just break down this fight, all right? We're on a new fight, guys. Relax. So, for Santos, he's the shorter fighter here. He's 5'9" with a 71.5-inch reach. For Onama, he's 5'11" with a 74-inch reach. So, a little bit of a reach advantage, a little bit of height advantage on the Onama side. Both guys are pretty good strikers. I would say Santos is the slightly better striker. Slightly. He does have solid striking, works from both stances well, and I think that's what made me give him the edge, is that he can work from both sides and do it pretty much the same as far as quality. He's very quick, he's got good forward pressure, but the thing I like is the knees up the middle. Those are solid. On the other side, David Onama, he's got a good striking game as well. Good combinations. He works his jab, and that's important because with the range that he's got, the 74 inches as opposed to the 71.5, as well as the little bit of height, he's able to stick that jab out there and probably touch Santos before Santos can get in to hit Onama. Another thing is he has pretty good power, but it's not that one-shot knockout power. It's a knockdown power. He's knocking guys down, and he's able to win rounds, win minutes that way. But if he gets on top of you, whether it's from a takedown or just, gets on top because he knocked you down, he has heavy ground and pound. The problem is he doesn't really have the best takedown defense, but neither does Santos. Santos has good grappling, and he'll mix in his own takedowns sometimes, but he doesn't have good takedown defense either. I didn't spend a lot of time here because I don't think that we're going to get a lot of this. I think we're going to get a lot of this. The edge for Onama is in the clinch. I do think he's better in the clinch. I think he's going to be able to work his game there, being the taller guy, put that pressure down on Santos and just kind of leaning on him and working his knees, working his elbows, things like that. I think he's going to be better there. Razor thin matchup. I wouldn't bet this one at all if I was you, but do whatever you want. It's your money. I'm going to lean Santos, and part of me thinks it's because I thought he won against Lerone Murphy, and I feel like he got ripped off. So part of me just kind of feels like this connection with the guy. So I could be biased. I could be. But I'm taking Santos here. Razor thin fight. Would not bet on this one. Heed my warning here, folks. Unless you have a better read than I do, which is totally possible. It's not like I have a magical crystal ball that's going to tell me the outcome. So maybe you do have a better read. And if so, I would love to hear it in the comments below. Please tell me what you're thinking. And I will see you in the next clear-cut matchup here at heavyweight. Justin Tafa taking on Austin Lane. Lane's 5-0 in the last 5, 3-2 for Tafa. Lane's going to be huge. He's 6'6" with an 80-inch reach. 6 foot with a 74-inch reach for Tafa. Now, Austin Lane's an athlete, okay? He's an athlete with decent wrestling. Got the ground and pound once he gets on top, just because he's an athletic fella. He's got decent striking. The power's there. Beat a big dude and all. He's got a good head kick, especially because most people he's going to fight are shorter than him, so he can get that leg up there. But his striking defense is pretty bad. Just doesn't know what to do with his hands, it seems. Tafa, he can counter you, but he's a powerful striker. He's going to work the body. He's going to work those leg kicks. Here's how you play this one. My pick officially is going to be Justin Tafa, but play both sides. Here's why. You play Justin Tafa by knockout, because if he doesn't knock out Austin Lane, he probably lost that fight because he got laid on and ground out to a decision by Austin Lane. So you play Justin Tafa by knockout, you can get it at plus 100 if you look on most sports books. Then you play Austin Lane just money line because he's like plus 150. You get to play both sides. So then you're rooting for Austin Lane because you get a bigger payout, but realistically, Justin Tafa's probably going to get the knockout. I'm taking Justin Tafa by knockout. That's the pick. If you play it right, you could it's a safe bet. And then you luck out if Austin Lane pulls off the upset, and if not, you're like, yeah, whatever, I'm even. So that's how I've got it. Let me know what you guys think. Tafa's the pick. I'll see you in the next fight. If you've made it this far in the video, don't forget to like the video. Obviously, if you made it this far, you're probably enjoying yourself. And next up, we have Amanda Ribas taking on Macy Barber in the flyweight division. This is a matchup I'm really excited for. It's going to be a fun fight. I've gone back and forth on this pick, and I know a lot of people are really big on the Ribas side, but let me tell you why I think this is a good fight. Let's go ahead and break it down. So 3-2 on the last 5 for Ribas, 4-1 for Barber. So let's let's start with Barber on this one, okay? She's a bully style where she's going to come forward, kind of use her strength to push girls up against the cage and kind of work them over there. When she lands heavy, but even when she's out in space, she's going to pick her shots well, but when she throws them, they're big, powerful shots. That's what she does. She hits pretty hard, so she has decent striking. She hits pretty hard with that. She's got good volume as well, not like expert level volume where it's just tons of flurries, but she does have good volume. The kicks are a developing part of her game. She's been throwing very nice head kicks in her last few fights, and they've been keeping girls on their toes because you can't start looking for takedowns when you're getting kicked in the face. I mean, you can, but like it's harder. So it's making people keep their guard a little bit higher, and it's letting Macy be able to push them up against the cage. Now, obviously, Andrea Lee was able to get on top of her and work her grappling there, but that kick was pretty good from Barber, and I think that was kind of what gave her the fight in the eyes of the judges. The problem is she keeps her hands really low, but her strikes absorb numbers don't really reflect that. She doesn't get hit as often as you would think by somebody that keeps their hands kind of low a lot of the time. So I put it up there, but it hasn't been a big issue yet. This fight it may be because Ribas does have pretty good volume. We'll go into that in a minute. Now for Barber, what she's going to do with her wrestling, so it's not like your traditional like shoot the double leg, single leg, whatever, get on top, use a wrestling ride or whatever. No, she's using her wrestling to shoot a takedown. If she gets it, great, but instead push you up against the cage, because up against the cage, she's going to land heavy shots. She will tee off on people against the cage, and we saw it quite a bit earlier in her career. She's gotten away from it a little bit in order to kind of preserve that cardio some, but she still can do it, and she still does do that when she gets the opening. If she does get you to the mat, though, she has very heavy top pressure, and she is heavy ground and pound once she gets going. If she feels that you're no longer pushing back with enough resistance to get back to your feet, if she lets up just a little bit, she's going to unload like the heavier ground and pound strikes that you're going to see in the women's flyweight division. So for Macy Barber, she has a style that's very friendly for the judges. It looks good on the scorecards, and that's why she keeps winning these fights, even in those close matchups. So Macy Barber, a good pick in most fights just for the way that she fights. Her skill set is good for winning on the scorecards. Now for Amanda Ribas, she has solid jiu-jitsu. She has good takedown defense, so I don't think Barber's going to be able to take her down. And her hip throws are actually pretty impressive. You'll see them where she'll kind of get that hip under and just kind of lift with you can't see what I'm doing, but she'll kind of like pop that hip up and flip you over like that. It works very well for her. She's used it a lot more earlier in her career. Lately she's been striking a lot more, but she still will mix those in. She has a solid jiu-jitsu when it gets to the mat. She has good transitions, good top pressure, things like that. The striking, she's probably going to have the more volume over Macy Barber here. She typically has a lot of volume, but she's going to change up the levels. Going high, going low, going high, going low, mixing in the leg kick, whatever she's got to do. She's going to get the levels changing on the strikes, work the body, things like that. She has a slip and counter style, so like move off the center line, throw back, awesome, step forward, move, step forward, slip to the side. She uses that slip and counter style pretty well, but the problem is sometimes it leads to having bad striking defense because she's not trying to block. She's trying to get her head out of the way and just keep throwing back a lot of the time. And that can be a problem when you get kicked in the face, so there is that. However, I do think that her pressure forward, throwing those slips and counters out there, is going to be tough for a girl like Macy Barber, who's going to want to pick those shots a little bit better, get her range, and work her shots on her terms. So, both ladies have the counter to the other style. The one thing that I think Ribas will have a bit more of an advantage in is the cardio. She doesn't seem to slow down ever. But the thing I think she has a disadvantage in, and I think that she's going to be undersized just a little bit, and I think Barber's going to be the stronger girl. So this is a really close one and a really tough one to pick, okay? And I know a lot of people are on Ribas, like I said, and I understand why. And officially for now, Ribas is going to be my pick, but I'm not confident in it because I think Macy Barber has the opportunity and the fact that she's been improving every fight, that she has the tools to get to where she needs to get to. Now, my Tapology picks are going to be my final official pick. You'll see them on there. But if I change quite a few picks on this card, I will update everybody. I'll put it out in like a short video or something like that. Because there's a lot of them I'm on the fence on. This one's another one. I'm going to crack open some root beer, have a good time, just watch this fight. I'm going to be way too many root beers deep in this card. It's going to be intense, guys. But Macy Barber has a real shot at winning this, and she is a big underdog. Slightly in Ribas, but I think this is going to be a closer fight than a lot of people think. Let me know what you guys have. I will see you in the main event. We got a killer matchup coming up, so We'll see you there in a second. To our main event of the evening, and this is your last reminder to give that like button just a little smooch for me. I appreciate it so much. And I want to say that I appreciate all of you for sticking around and watching this video. Appreciate you checking out the channel if this is your first time here. Thanks for doing so. It really means a lot. For all of you that have been here every single week for the last however many weeks, you guys rock. I appreciate all of you. And I know that you guys are always down in the comments. There's some of you that I see every week. You guys are fantastic. I appreciate y'all very much. Let's break down this fight, all right? So, Josh Emmett. Dude's 4-1 in his last 5. His only loss is that interim title fight to Yair Rodrigues. Wow, that took a second. Ilya Topuria, 5-0 in his last 5 because the guy's undefeated. Now, Emmett is quite a bit older, at 38 years old, and at featherweight, he is getting towards the upper part of that career, but, you know, he hasn't really shown a ton of signs of slowing, but at some point, it's going to catch up with him. Now, for Topuria, he's 26. Dude should be improving between fights, so there is that. Now, you may see that I have a lot more notes on the Topuria side than I do on the Emmett side, and here's why. As I was going back and doing my tape study on these guys, I found the things that Josh Emmett does really well, and what I like about Josh Emmett, and what I dislike as well, but I found the things for Josh Emmett, and it was really easy to do. And when I started watching Topuria, I started seeing a lot of things I really liked, and then a lot of things I really didn't like. So I had to watch a lot more tape on Topuria to get an idea of how he matched up with Emmett. So I ended up with a lot more notes. But trust me, I think I've got this to where I've got a good read on this one. However, I don't know if y'all are gonna like my take, but I've got a good read on this one. Okay, hear me out. Okay, so this matchup here. First things first, let's cover the Topuria side. Okay, let's cover Topuria first because we've got all these notes. The dude's a high-level Greco-Roman background, okay? He's got a high-level Greco-Roman background with good takedowns. The timing is what makes his takedowns so good. The guy knows when to shoot a takedown. When he gets your hands high, goes underneath, whatever. He's got good timing on his takedowns. That's important. He advances position once he gets to the mat, and he is very damaging ground and pound in that transition. When he's trying to advance the position, he's landing big, heavy shots. Once he secures the position, guess what? More big, heavy shots. He's very pressure-heavy on top. Excellent grappling from there with a large toolbox. The front chokes are his specialty on the mat as far as submissions go. He does like the Darce, the Anaconda, things like that. Guillotine even. He's very good with those type of chokes. Also, to mix it in, he does have his own good takedown defense. So in case Josh Emmett wants to start throwing takedowns in there, the Topuria side does have a good defense in the takedowns. Now, grappling-wise, I think Topuria is very, very talented grappling. His striking, it worries me, okay? It's good, but it worries me because defensively he has a bunch of lapses, and that's why I ended up taking so many notes and watching the fights over and over and over again on the Topuria side because I was trying to decide what I thought about with the negatives to the positives over here. So let's cover the striking. Now, the dude's a good striker. He's got a ton of power. He's got very fast hands, works his body shots, super dangerous in the pocket, combinations, ripping them high, ripping them low. But here's the problem. So when he's throwing his punches, his hands are here. Can you see my hands on the screen? Probably not because they're low. That's the problem. So he's throwing these punches, like working these awesome combinations, but he's doing it as if he's hitting a heavy bag because the opponent's going to hit back, and heavy bags don't. But that's how he's ripping those combos, just swinging them, and his hands aren't returning to his face each time. And that's okay if your opponent's not throwing back. But guys like Josh Emmett, as you get up to the top of the division, guys like Josh Emmett are going to throw punches back. They're not just going to let you, oh man, he's putting pressure on me, I'm just going to let him walk me down. That's not what's going to happen when you get to the top of the featherweight division. So that's a big problem for Ilya Topuria as he moves on in his fights. Now, so I don't like that. I don't like that he gets sloppy as the fight goes on. Whether it's a cardio concern or he just kind of gets lazier with his defense, that is a problem. We've also seen him dropped in multiple fights. He's recovered quick. Don't get me wrong, but he's been dropped in multiple fights, hits the mat, finds his way back into it, and gets the win. These are big red flags when you're going up against a guy like Josh Emmett. Now, for Josh Emmett, he's a solid striker with power. Now, I'm going to give a little shout out to my buddy Artem MMA Analysis on here because Artem always says, Josh Emmett hasn't knocked anybody out in ages, hasn't knocked anybody out in years. I'm a big fan of Artem. Artem's my dude. He had me on his channel when I had like 100 subscribers. It was a horrible video. Our connection wasn't great, but the fact that he had me on his channel, dude's fantastic. Check out his channel. He's awesome. But Artem's always saying, so I'm giving him credit because I'm borrowing something he says, that he doesn't have knockout power, doesn't have one-shot power. And he's correct, because Josh Emmett has not knocked anybody out in a while with that one-shot power like we've seen. However, he has knockdown power. And if you're going to knock somebody down, it's going to be hard for them to win rounds against you when you're dropping guys like that. So for Josh Emmett, he's got the power to knock guys down. For Ilia Topuria, he's got the lacking defense to where he just eats shots. And like I said, when he's throwing his shots and just teeing off on somebody like they're a heavy bag, and that heavy bag decides to swing back, dude can get dropped when they have the power of Josh Emmett. Now, can he follow up on it? That's what we don't know yet. He's good at cutting off the cage and establishing his jab. Now, what does that mean? So in this matchup, if he's able to get that jab working, pump that jab out there, land those heavy jabs, it's a powerful jab against Topuria, a guy that's not going to block a lot of shots. Is he going to be able to sting him up? Is he going to, get those eyes watering, hit him in the nose a few times, get some swelling going on, things like that? That jab's there. He's got the volume to go along with it, but he's throwing a lot of like single shots, maybe 1-2s, maybe like 2-3s, but not so 1s and 2s in punch combinations. He's throwing a single shot or like a 2-punch combination. He's not mixing a bunch of combinations. Like Topuria is going to throw 3, 4, 5, 6 punch combinations. Not Josh Emmett. He's got good volume of sticking the jab, and he's kind of leaning into it because he's throwing that hard. But, eventually maybe the 1-2, maybe eventually he, feints the jab, decides to hit you with the 2-3, whatever. He's not throwing a ton of heavy combinations, and I think a lot of that is because he just wants to keep you at bay with the jab, establish that, and then go down and rip the body, and that's what he does. And he does it very well. He hits hard enough. He can drop guys with jabs, knock them off their feet. It's very important for Josh Emmett to get that jab established early in this fight. Now, he does have good wrestling. He prefers to strike, but he has good wrestling. But the takedown defense is the thing I wanted to highlight here, because Josh Emmett does have pretty good takedown defense. And I know that the takedown timing for a guy like Topuria is very, very, very skilled, very good. But having good takedown defense may give Emmett the chance to keep the fight on the feet if he wishes to do so. Because I do think the holes in Topuria's game are on the feet. They're not on the mat. He has decent jiu-jitsu. He often uses it to get back up. Whatever. Cardio is where it's at, though. Josh Emmett should win rounds 4 and 5 if we get this far. He's going to have better cardio than Topuria. He's a veteran. He's been through those 5-round fights before, and he's never just looked like he's fading in those fights. He can keep putting it on. So, for me, this is a tough fight. And after I did all the tape study, I was breaking it down. I was looking at all this stuff. I had all these notes. This isn't even everything. This is just what I deemed relevant after I scratched some off and said I don't have a big enough marker board for this, and we're not doing a single fight analysis video. So, after all of that, what do I think is going to happen? I'm taking Topuria. However, here's how I see it going. Josh Emmett, with that knockdown power, he's going to be able to land a shot on Topuria, drop him. We're all going to panic. Everybody's going to, oh man, no, Topuria just got dropped. What's going on? Just like Jai Herbert was able to do, just like whatever, drop Ilia Topuria. Topuria's going to recover. He's going to make it to the end of the round, recover, and he's going to come back out and be very aggressive, start landing some serious heavy shots. Eventually, I think Topuria gets a TKO stoppage or a front choke, one of the two, after he eventually starts throwing some heavy shots in the pocket and gets a takedown, starts landing some ground and pound, and either snatches up that anaconda, Darce choke, something like that, or ends up getting the TKO, the ground and pound. But I think Josh Emmett's going to drop Topuria at least once in this fight, possibly more than once, and it would not be out of the realm of possibility for Josh Emmett to win this fight, especially if he's able to weather that storm from Ilia Topuria early. I think Topuria probably takes the first round or maybe loses it because he gets dropped in the first. The second round is where I think Emmett's going to drop Topuria. I think the first round is going to be a Topuria round where Emmett's kind of not looking the best. Comes back, second round, drops Topuria, looks really good in the second round. Third round or end of second, Topuria is able to start pouring it on because he needs to before he's out of gas. If it gets past that, I think it's all Emmett, late third round, fourth round, fifth round. I'm taking Topuria, like I said, low confidence because he's kind of relatively untested against the best of the best in someone who's been at the top. Now, the Josh Emmett that we saw in the Yair Rodrigues fight, dude was good, but he eventually wilted to those heavy shots of a guy like Yair Rodrigues, who is a very damaging striker. And I think Yair Rodrigues versus Ilia Topuria would be a fantastic matchup, so I'd love to see that. But I'm going to take Ilia Topuria the slightest bit. Let me know what you guys think. Hey, if you made it this far in the video, you are the real ones. You are the true fans, and it means the most to me. I appreciate it so much. I will see you guys soon. Let me know in the comments all your picks. Follow me on Twitter, all that good stuff. Become a channel member. It's $2.99. Like I said, you get to be one of the first ones in, ground floor, you know what I mean? Be one of those first ones. So then like 3 months from now, you've got the cool little ranking badge or whatever that says you're better than all those people that just started or whatever. So get on it. I appreciate y'all very much. Let's give me a new microphone here so I can not yell all the time. I'll see you guys in the next fight video. Thank you so much.